today we've got Jo Arscott.
We have got Jo Arscott.
So Jo is a great friend of mine from a very long time ago. I think she introduced me to Kettner's, the famous restaurant in London, as well as all sorts of other things.
We've been waiting a long time for Jo to come on the show.
I know.
We spoke to her before we'd started podcasting, saying, are you interested in being in the first series? And we just couldn't make the timing work.
So I think it's going to be very interesting just talk about her asthma poster she did, which was pretty much one of the most famous bits of outdoor I remember at the time. But then she's just done loads since then. She's a real voice for the industry and talks all around the world about diversity and education and yada yada. So I think it's going to be really good to talk to her. And I haven't actually seen her for so long.
She's been everywhere. She's been in the US, in the Middle East,
Iran, Iraq. I mean, it's like all over the world. So you're going to get her, or shall I go and get her?
Are we still doing that gag?
Yeah. I'm off. I'll go and get her. Jo Arscott, welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Well, hello. Thank you guys for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So I'm going to just do the bit where we big you up.
Oh, fabulous.
Jo.
He pause over this intro a lot. It takes him weeks to write
I practiced it this morning with the dog, so we're walking.
Oh,
I think he spends more time writing these intros than he does writing billboards.
I'm very impressed.
Okay.
Come on then. Make me sound good.
Jo is a force of nature, a genuine creative pioneer who mastered the art of the integrated campaign long before anyone else called it a 360 or all that nonsense, Jo's won awards both as a writer and a creative director on massive accounts around the world. It's not just UK based, but she's more than just a brilliant creative. Jo speaks on issues of diversity and education at D&AD, Cannes, the Design Council, to name but a few. And also, you took me for my first decent meal in London, which was at Kettner's. Which I thought was really posh.
And then you went back there years later and went, this is Pizza Express.
No.
Shut up. Kettner's was the poshest place in London.
The champagne in Kettner's was the one, right?
The champagne bar before Soho House bought it. Alfredo would come round, sing opera to you, give you sweets out of his pocket, and you felt like you'd won the world.
Well,
and that's where I maxed out all my credit cards for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and I am indebted to you, because then after that, I'd always say to people, let's go to this little place here, making out it was really mega, and I knew it was a Pizza Express.
But then obviously when they changed it, you went there when it was in its heyday and remember it. Yeah. And you go, we should go there, shouldn't we? And everyone's like, nah, I don't want to go there.
No, and now
Pizza Express, buddy.
Is it still there?
It's Soho House now.
It's Soho House, yeah.
Soho House have bought that whole building now. So it's extra posh. So we went there when it was authentic.
Yeah,
okay.
No, it was legit.
It was legit and authentic, even though it was... but that's when Pizza Express was only in Dean Street in there.
Right. So
They had jazz in there on a Thursday night. They had a jazz in there on a Thursday night.
Now you are showing it.
That's Dean Street, yeah. I did a runner from there once.
Did you?
Right,
we did ditch.
Can I say we've already drifted?
Sorry.
Well, actually, let's just stay on the kind of present. Let's go to the present. How are you, and what are you up to at the moment? Last time we had an email, you were desperately preparing for a publicist pep talk.
Oh, gosh.
Was that all right? Is that sort of stuff you're doing at the moment? You do some judging?
Yeah, I'm fabulous. Since I've come... I was in London for God knows how many years, 20, abroad, America, the Middle East, back in London, not knowing where I fitted, coming back again. And lockdown, I had to go back to the country because my mum was ill.
Right.
So I had to. And I
the
thought,
country being...
Well, around the Cotswolds, Cheltenham. And it's like, what can I do there and still be attached to the industry? And I thought, well, what have I learned? Well, I've learned about diversity and inclusion more than anyone else in the bloody world because I've lived it.
Firsthand, yeah.
Yeah, firsthand. And I couldn't believe I came back to the country after all these years and people are still talking about it. And I'm thinking, what's happened? I mean, wait, I leave the country and this is what bloody happened. So basically I was approached by Pep Talk, which is a corporate speaking company started by Saatchi guys, actually.
Really?
And I talked D&I to, on the whole, D&I to all the global networks, all the global agencies, to brands, to clients. Even in the height of COVID, I was doing talks to AstraZeneca, which was incredibly bizarre. Wow. Yeah, and it's...
Were they not busy doing something else? And
Excuse me.
I mean,
Excuse me. And it was fabulous. And I really realised that my experience I could share in other ways.
Yeah.
And I've always mentored and I've always give back and all that kind of stuff. But This I really enjoy, to be honest. I really, really enjoy it.
Because I remember when we were pals at the beginning, you and I are both into journalism as well as, writing and being creative. And do you feel like it's a nicer, sort of bit more of a move to that side than being pure ad person?
I think I still like to write every now and then. Like I remember when I first came back to the UK, the first thing I wanted to do was write articles for Campaign. Blah, 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 blah. Like, the poor guys, the poor editors are like, oh, here's Jo again.
Is that Jo Arscott?
She's a force of nature, that one. So yeah, I will always write for Campaign because they are absolutely fabulous. And, they do stay on the pulse.
Yeah.
Even more than before. Yeah. Writing is cool, but I feel when talking, you give back more because people ask you questions and you have that whole question and answer kind of thing. So I just feel you're kind of changing things, helping to change things in a big way. And so as I look, I will always do this. I will always write, I will always teach, I'll always lecture. That's all the stuff I'm doing now. But I do want one final role, but I'm not taking anything, and it's been quite interesting. So I'm kind of holding networks accountable. That want this kind of hybrid kind of role, and so yeah, I'm in lots of talks right now. So that's really kind of cool.
Do you prepare for your pep talks and things like that in the same way as you would for a big campaign? Are you writing? Are you structuring this your campaign message, your hour's speech?
You would prepare for it the same way you would for any new business pitch.
Right.
Basically, you get the brief, what they want, then you think of the experience that you bring, and you may have a couple of meetings before to make sure that you hit their points, and then you go and do it, and then you get the question answers, and there's always follow-ups.
Do you do all that clicky thing? Do you have like a microphone like Madonna, and are you like kind of really slick?
No. No, it's bloody Zoom or Microsoft.
Oh,
Meetings.
right. So I was hoping you're on stage.
Snazzy background.
Excuse me, have you remembered something called COVID?
No, but surely we're coming out now. Like Joe's going to be a TED talk.
I will. I will as we come out more. I mean, I couldn't before because my mum was like a clinical whatever, so I couldn't kind of mix anyway. But the agencies didn't matter because all their staff are scattered. So I never seem to talk for one agency. It's always a network across networks. So it's been really great to do it all kind of virtually, to be honest. Yeah. I think as we come out of it, of course, it'll be more face-to-face stuff.
Good.
So we want to go to the So there's already, I think, a funny story in here. So we have this feature, the billboard at the end of my street, and I just caught the end of you chatting to Dan about walking a very long way a minute ago.
I think you took the brief really seriously because we said at the end of your street, and you carried on going until you found a billboard.
I remember telling you first time round, Dan, I think, that there is no billboards at the end of my street. I live in the country. There is a field and sheeps and a few cows at the end of my street.
That's in a way, that's outdoor. Maybe there's a subliminal message in the cows and the sheep. Sorry.
Even the bus stop doesn't have any sort of posters, and the buses run 3 hours late.
Any graffiti? Like
no, are you kidding? No, it's too nice for that.
Right. Oh, sorry.
No graffiti.
Right, go on.
But to get to the nearest town, which is Cheltenham, I've got to walk, right? If I want to get there. So I had to yesterday. I thought, God, I've got to do this for the guys. The first billboard I see, and I called my mum, because my mum drives a car. I don't drive because I've been, taxi lady. Yeah. And she goes, I can't remember the last time I saw one. And I said, oh, Mum. She goes, I can't remember the last time I saw one. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go to Cheltenham. I said, I literally cannot remember seeing one on the way to Cheltenham. So we went there by bus.
Right.
With my little dog, chance to give me
So wait a minute. So sorry, technically there must have been a bus side. I don't want to slow you down there.
No,
there wasn't a bus side. No?
Have you ever been to the country?
No, they don't.
No, but okay, go on, carry on.
We're not talking about a red double decker here. We're talking about.
Have you ever been to the country?
Occasionally, my wife takes me up north.
I don't think you've been really.
That's not euphemism.
No.
Yeah. Okay, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
There's no.
I don't digress. Keep going. Come on.
So we got to Cheltenham. Yeah. And of course, central Cheltenham, there's absolutely no billboards whatsoever. And I thought, where can I go? I've got my dog. Poor guy, he's like 10. He's like dying on his feet. And I thought, if I walk to the outskirts where the traffic goes towards a supermarket, there's bound to be a billboard.
Yeah,
there.
always billboard.
Always. So we walked. At this point, he's dying.
On the side
and I'm
of
having
Lidl.
to carry my dog.
What's the dog's name? Sorry.
Sir Winston.
Sir Winston.
Sir Winston.
The Fairfield scooter dog.
It's just getting surreal. Hold on, wait a minute. The Billboard podcast has got Sir Winston on it.
The Fairfield scooter
It's a
dog.
first.
So I'm having to carry this dog down a road. I am sweating like a pig. And the first billboard I see, I'm going to show you now. And I saw it and I thought, this is it. I'm done. I'm sorry, guys. I am literally done. This is literally the first billboard that I saw, and I'm showing it to them now on my laptop. Would you guys like to explain that?
It's definitely part of an advert for U Fibre.
You sent us no graffiti. You've got some right old vandals.
Unfortunately, it's an old school 48 sheet poster that's. You can see some of the advertisers underneath. It's an advert for U Fibre.
I looked them up. They still survive.
Oh my God, but it's brilliant. Can I read the headline? Say goodbye to your, and there's an emoji of shit.
There's a winking poo emoji.
Who approved that? Hold on. Who wrote it?
Say goodbye to your shit.
If you're listening to this and you wrote this, please get in touch. Say goodbye to your shit, bruh.
Well, unfortunately, the rest of that headline has been ripped off by
with 1,000 Mbps from the UK's fastest broadband provider.
So I'm going to fill in the gaps. Say goodbye to your shit broadband with 1,000 megabits per second.
I think Dan did this one.
From the UK's fastest built broadband provider. I mean, there's lots of words on there. For Billboard.
So joking aside, the point of this is to see what's in the real world. That's what's going on in Gloucester. But to have a mini debate about the current state of the industry. Not great from here. But how do you feel? I mean, we were just saying before we came in there about judging award shows and blah, blah, blah. That's quite
I am going to report that to Air Outdoor, who are the media owners who are hosting that site. Just
very
so
poor gentlemen.
Pulled down.
But what do you feel about the industry at the moment? Have you seen any good work? Do you think it's on an up or a down? Any vibes?
I think on the whole, it's, it's been kind of tragic for a while. For a long while, it's been kind of tragic. And I don't think I don't think you can blame creatives for that necessarily. I think creatives haven't been taught how to do good billboards, how to do good posters. I think our generation, my generation, was a different generation where billboards were a state of art. I mean, they were like, it's like having a Picasso. If you had one of those, you had to treat it with respect, with the pictures, the words, how they all work together. And I just think, what I've seen, and again, I haven't seen many, have been very say and do, kind of boring, waste of space. Of course, on the whole, there's been a few kind of good ones. And every time I come into London, I see some like the latest James Bond. Oh, what's that? Okay, it's a sexy picture and what. But I feel the art. The Marmite did good ones, but
yeah, there's still good stuff out there, but it's
not the same. It's not treated with the respect I think that it used to be treated with. I think that's it might be a naive point of view, but I just feel it's not treated with the respect as a medium that it used to be treated.
The outdoor industry has grown phenomenally in the last 15 years, and it's a couple of reasons for it. There's digital has helped push the industry on, so. The media owners and people in the chain are able to sell the same space 4 times over, not at 4 times price, but 4 times over. So there's more out there. There's also more formats out there. So when in the early days of our careers, you were talking about a 48 sheet poster or a 96 sheet poster, or a 1 sheet or a 6 sheet, and it was a relatively basic outdoor space to create for, which meant that you had 4 print formats, and you could look at the wall and you could say, right, that one will work on this format. If you were try to do that now with some of the media owner formats, shapes, sizes, and screens, and then bring in animation and subtle motion, the ability to do data, it's just a minefield. And I'm not surprised that the creative community kind of switches off to it a bit, because they go, well, that looks fucking difficult. I'm not doing that. Yeah.
And they celebrate the odd ones, like at a bus stop where it's 3D and something comes alive. You look through the billboard and aliens are coming and all that, and it all comes alive, and which I think is, oh my God, this is amazing. The industry should be doing all this sort of stuff. But I don't think anyone truly knows right now how to harness it or teach it.
I mean, I think it's really interesting what Dan said. The reach is much broader now. Because there's more. There's in a way it should be better because there's more places to put your message, right? There's water being passed. Sorry. So in a weird way, there should be more great stuff because there's more places to do it. But I think creatives get a bit bamboozled, or it's spread too thin, or they're not educated into going. So if you have a digital format poster, what's the best way to do that rather than just lazily grabbing a bit of pre-roll?
Yeah,
bit
or
of
a
TV.
still from the TV and putting a head.
And I think when it's done well, it's done brilliantly.
Yeah.
And they win. But I think who was it talking to, Vicky the other week or someone? But it's kind of a strength and a weakness now. There's so many different formats, which I think always still is an opportunity for you to get your message out. You know, for younger junior teams, in a way, you might get a chance to do some of that. But in the old days, you know, the 96 sheet and the 48, the heavyweight teams would grab them. But then perversely, I think it's given less respect, like you said, and it's like just quickly get it done. So yeah, I think, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think the respect thing about it, I think creatives are simple people, aren't they? And they go, this is your opportunity to fill this brilliant 48 sheets.
Well, I think there is a right answer, and the right answer, they're not being taught how to use it properly.
Yeah.
So who are the teachers? And what experience do the teachers have to teach them? If we look back at generations, this is me speaking as an older person, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but maybe they need to be taught how to use the new spaces.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Oh, gosh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
We talked. I can't remember who it was with. We talked at length around the difference in creative agencies these days. You know, these three old people looking backwards. But
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I said I was older.
when
I'm very old.
older,
Yeah, I'm very old.
yeah, seasoned professionals looking at the heyday, looking at the good old days, the golden years. When you look back to the creative agencies that you started in, the media departments were in the building. You had some education that happened in the building around media formats and best use of that media as you as you were in the creative process. So you would say, oh, yeah, we want to do something like this. Or we talked about the wraparound billboards or these new tri-visions that came out with 3 different messages. You know, because the media department was in the building, there was a collaboration that happened between the 4th floor and the 3rd floor, and it happened and great stuff was made. Do you think that there is a bit of media agency, creative agency, civil war at play where they're trying to get as many formats out there on the media plan, and the creative agency are just fighting to keep the creative process going?
Oh, it's definitely changed. There's definitely a war. I mean, you know, the media agencies have their own creative departments now who are doing very well, you know? So there is definitely a battle, and it's not even an unspoken battle. It's everyone knows it battle going on with trying to, you know, everyone says, yes, we have our kind of allocated bit of work and we have that allocated work. But of course there's a battle.
There's lots of toe stepping going on.
Yeah, there is. And it's hard. But when it comes down to it, and I think people forget, it comes down to a really good idea.
Yeah.
A really good, simple, impactful, emotionally attracting idea. You know, and I think, of course, there's loads of like brilliant stuff that's happened. Most I can't talk about because I haven't been in this country. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of stuff that isn't that good as well around, because people just seem to put up words. They seem to kind of put up pictures, and they don't necessarily even go together.
Yeah,
you know. I think, there is a battle. There's a battle between agencies and media.
I think when, last bit on it, but I think when media left the building, it was a bit sad. It was a sort of bit of a heartbreaking moment, because I remember at BBH, you could walk down to Kev Brown or Mark Cramner and go, what do you think of this? You know, you didn't even have to sort of talk to Heg or anyone, because it would just be like a chat.
And whose responsibility is that now in the modern creative agency? Whose responsibility is it to know the formats, know the media owners, to bring education into the building?
It's interesting because I had what I love, without being too weird about how we met or we used to meet, you just see each other and go, oh, this is quite an interesting way of using screens, you know, linking up with a phone. Or the other day, actually, very interesting, a friend of Tiger Savage.
You do know I was paid to sit and talk to you.
A friend of Tiger's, Jeff, wrote to me, a mural guy, and he said, look, I've got an idea for the BBC. And that doesn't happen enough. People just hooking up for a coffee or a chat. If you can't do it in the corridor, go and meet someone and go, look, have you thought about this? You know, rather than having to go through so many. I mean, at the moment, it's like you've got to book a Zoom.
Yeah.
And then who are you, what you're doing? Or we're going to have all the other guys on the call. It's like,
should we go around the virtual room and tell everyone who we are and what we do?
What's your favourite colour?
Oh, God, I heard that.
But, right, so let's go back a bit in time.
God.
For these old and older people. I'm going to take you back, and if I get my dates wrong, correct me.
You've got good dates.
1996.
The afro hair there.
Did you you started in 96 at Draft Worldwide or not? Is that right? Is that your first gaff? No. Does it go further?
Oh, yeah. No, I think I left Watford. No, I went to Watford in 85. I think I left in 86 because it's only a year course. Then a placements at like D&B, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And then I think I went to Ogilvy Business.
Right.
All these different things. And I went to a sales promotion agency. Because career didn't exist. You know, you just get a job, then you move for more money.
Yeah.
And then I went to Saatchi, and that's when everything changed for me.
Can I just, before we go to Saatchi, because I've got that on my list, but on Draft you did the asthma poster.
The glue poster.
Yeah. So I wanted to... I really want to talk about that because at the time I loved it and I was like, fucking it. And even today I was looking at it and the story behind it, I know a bit about it. And I always used to think, God, that's good. That's so good. And the other day there was, I think Abbott Me did well at the shows with something to do with air, shit in the air, but it was a sort of digital thing. But I was thinking, yeah, but at the time yours was probably a harder thing to sell. Yeah. Could you just give us a bit of background to this poster?
I just think in those days, if you weren't getting the briefs you wanted, you were always taught to go and find it. Go and find a project, go and find a brief, be really kind of entrepreneurial with it. Yeah. There was a real hunger. It wasn't about staying safe and just sitting with what you've done. So we went around and this is working with Chris Arnold, and we went out and we found the National Asthma Campaign. And they said, okay, yeah, we want to, highlight air pollution, especially in summer, it gets really bad. So if you could just do it, a leaflet for us, that would be really great. And we think about air pollution. And in those days, we were taught I don't know if we were even taught. It was just in the era that you beg, steal and borrow to do a really great job.
Yeah.
So we went to the Billboard company and said, can we have a free billboard?
It was M&A.
Yeah, and they said, absolutely. Yeah. Where? They said, well, do you know what? If we're talking about air pollution, you need to be at Vauxhall Roundabout because that's a bloody nightmare.
Right.
So the billboard was at Vauxhall Roundabout. We went to and we thought, well, if we're going to highlight air pollution, people have to be able to see it. So if we paint a billboard in clear glue and then over weeks all the pollution sticks to it, they can see that the same way it sticks to your lungs.
Right.
So... the thing is, it's like, okay, well, what glue can we do to stick on this billboard to reveal a headline? And we thought, well, 3M was the glue maker. And they went, well, we don't have a glue that could stay moist over a hot summer.
Are you doing this on your own with Chris?
Of course, yeah, it's just us.
Just you two. You haven't got a account man helping you? No, you don't.
Oh, no. Right. That isn't the way it worked in those days. You just do it yourself and everyone supports you, know?
That's so good. Yeah.
So we basically... went to 3M, picked up the phone, and they said, okay, well, we'll invent a glue for you. So we worked with them.
Oh, wow.
And we had little tests. We had little test things we'd put on a bit of, remember polyboard? Yeah. Little bits we'd put outside our windows to see if it dried or not, nice. If stuff stuck to it. And in the end, we think we came to a glue solution. And... Can
I just quickly ask, had you written a line at this point, or you're just going, we just want to show how the shit sticks to the poster and we'll write a line later? Or had you gone, we got the line?
You know, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure we had the idea first.
Yeah.
To sell it in, this poster has been up for just 2 weeks. Imagine what your lungs must look like.
Yeah, so just describe it. Actually, no, because there was a sequencing as well, wasn't it? Keep going, because there was a sequencing, yeah.
So what we did, after we tested it, we knew the glue would work. We got the billboard. We got some guy to come along and paint out the headline and do it all for us. Then we brought all the press along. Those were the days where you'd bring the press along to your billboard launch. And they were all stood outside on Vauxhall Roundabout with their cameras and stuff. And they're going, because the billboard looked just plain white.
Yeah, well done.
I know, right?
I haven't written it yet.
And so we just went...
You brought them to the launch and not the the day to bring it down.
We brought them to the launch and it's just pure white. And they went, yeah. We said, well, come back in 2 weeks. And so they were okay. And then, of course, the charity was there and everything. And then they came back in 2 weeks and then they saw that all the pollution stuck to it.
Covered in...
And it revealed the headline.
Yeah, brilliant.
And it made, for that time, because they had no money, they're a charity, it made, of course, all the TV news and the national news and everything else,
just to read the headline again, this poster has been up for just 2 weeks. Imagine what your lungs must look like. So it's it's kind of not even a clever headline. It's sort of fact, isn't it? And it's just one of those brilliant things you go, fucking hell.
And I mean, just to blow a bit more smoke, this has been riffed on so many times over the last 20 years, where the Contagion one, where they kind of made the bacteria grow over the 2-week period. And air pollution has been a recent one for digital as well. And I think it was a response to a young girl who passed away from it was linked to air pollution and asthma. And there was a digital one that kind of established what the air pollution levels were in each location. But all of that has come from, this will have been in the pitch decks to all of those clients saying, this is what good outdoor looks like. So I think this is a phenomenal effort.
Did you know, sorry, you know that thing when you know and you've got something good, but did you know quite how good it was? Or were you and Chris just like steaming ahead to try and make the bloody thing happen? Both.
We wanted to make it happen, but I think we've always, as most people in that era of advertising, we want to do something that no one else has done before. That's really important.
Yeah.
Do something else that no one else has done before. I mean, no one had ever done anything like this with this medium.
Yeah.
It was about looking at this medium and thinking, how can we do something so radical but really helps the charity who had basically 0 pence, and the amount of national PR they got out of it. And we also did little school packs where we sent schools little kits with glue and stuff they could stick on the school classrooms and do it for themselves.
Mate, that's
so do you know what I mean? It really kind of followed through. So I think for us, I'm not going to lie, at that time in advertising, it was about ego and awards. The charity, of course, it was important, but it was about ego and awards. So we pushed to do the best possible thing for the charity, but I'm not going to lie in saying ego and awards were part of it too. And of course, it won Clio and the States even, it won everything.
But that's still very true today. Every major creative agency has charity partners, and it's an open brief. We can do some work. The stuff lands on my desk all the time. This is being created. It's for, as you can see, it's for awards. Yeah. But it helps the agency grow their client teams. It helps the clients. It helps everybody. But it's still about ego and awards.
What I love about that is it is a poster, but it was so much more. Getting the journalist down is brilliant. But then sending stuff to schools, it's like an integrated campaign. That's what you were.
That's what I loved.
Yeah.
There's something quite entrepreneurial as well about your creative partnership there, because I think, again, if we make comparisons with the modern creative agency, I'm not sure I'm seeing enough of that where, let's go and get a glue made. Let's go and do this. Let's stick it on the wall outside our flat and see what's happening. I'll give it to production and see what they come back with, or I hear from a producer and it gets passed around the agency a bit rather than, we've got an idea here. Let's just run with it for a bit and see what goes.
That's what I loved about the industry at that particular period in time. It was all about working together, collaboration, getting one up, having fun, and doing good. I remember doing a poster. I don't even have record of it anymore. Actually, I might have some record of it. Do you remember French Connection? This is going way back. Did that FC UK?
Yeah, clever stuff.
We messed it up, and it was like we got Trevor Beatty's permission, and it ended up being like FKU, whatever. It was all muddled up, and it said, this is what it's like for people with dyslexia.
Yeah.
And right. Trevor and French Connection said, oh, hell yeah, do it, because we did it right at the height of that campaign. And we got a one-off on Tottenham Court Road, and we got Helen, who just won Big Brother down, and she was there promoting it. And I just think, for me, and it's what I've taught my creatives ever since, is you've got to be entrepreneurial. You've got to have that. You've got to love what you do.
Yeah.
It isn't a job. I mean, this industry should not be a job. You should have such a serious passion that you want to look at the space, digital space, billboard space, whatever bloody space. You've got to look at it and use your heart to think, what is the best I can do with this space?
Yeah.
Go out of your way to do it. If not, who wants just a job in this industry?
Yeah.
I don't want just a job in this industry.
Those people do stand out. I love your idea about, you went to 3M and you pick the phone up, then you test it yourself. It's sort of like, it's not even a question. And when you work with some creatives, some teams, that's just, it's not even.
Wouldn't even cross their mind.
Yeah. So I suppose inherently, it is in a lot of creatives if they are so minded to do it anyway. And in others, it feels like they're sort of waiting for something to land on their desk a bit. And that probably doesn't invariably work out. I think it's the proactive attitude, which is like you're saying, just why aren't there more of those going on?
Why isn't there? What do you think? You've been in this country more than I have. Why do you not think?
I don't know. I think because there's so many other platforms out there, people are going, oh, why don't you try this or that, the other, or just
I think
people that it knocked out of each other.
I think it's the volume of briefs that are sitting on desks. You know, it's and unfortunately it's quick, smash it out. It's got to be out on Friday. Got to get it in front of the client. You know, there's not there's the glamour of flying around the world first class, going to shoots is less. There's, I think, you know, again, as I say, with this stuff from an innovation perspective and digital perspective, it ends up on mine and my team's desk. But it doesn't come from a creative at an agency. It comes from a producer. And at that point, it's gone through the account team to a producer, gone into the production department, and it's coming to us as a question. It's not coming from I'm not getting a phone call from a creative team saying, hey, we've had this. Yeah. Had this idea.
Really? Gosh, I actually find that so sad, especially because I do see all the amazing stuff happening, you know, with AI and all this kind of happening globally. Like, amazing. That's the stuff I want to be doing. It's like incredible things. And it's sad to think that the creatives aren't proactively sat there, you know.
But I'm not saying they're not.
Not saying they're not, but I know what you mean.
I'm saying that somewhere in the agency process, they are told,
changed.
You give it to the production department and they'll see if this can happen. If not, it goes away and you go and you get on with the next one. It's for Instagram, or the next one is for...
There is good stuff out there. I mean, Uncommon are doing amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we were just chatting about the work this year. We've been asking a lot of our contributors what they've liked. And this year is definitely a step up. Like last year was like...
As in 2021 has been a step up. I mean, the industry is in a better spot than in 2020.
Yeah. I mean, funny enough, on 2020, it was literally, there was about 10 or 15 very good ads, and then there was nothing.
But there was also, the media sales were down 70% in 2020.
Right.
So there was less billboards out there.
So
Or it was the fibre pulled off your shit broadband connection, probably still from 2020.
Was the so we want to talk a bit about Saatchi's. Was the asthma poster the thing that got you into Saatchi's, or was that your next port of call? Because that was quite a big thing then, wasn't it, to go to Saatchi?
Yeah, no, I'd actually left advertising at that point because I was pushing integration,
right?
You know, stories through all media, and no one at the time believed in it, and I just gave up. The draft didn't believe in it. They were going back to being a direct mail agency, which is what they were in the States.
Right.
That's where they come from, in Chicago. So I just thought, stuff this. You know, I've always written. I'm a writer. Went to Watford, so I just thought, you know, I'm gonna go and, you know, I got a job at the BBC as a drama producer and writer.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You've been telling me that. Sorry, it's all coming back to me now.
I can barely remember it.
So how long were you there for?
I was there for probably a year and a half. Produced, which is hilarious. Like, hello, you're a producer. Okay. I did a big drama series of monologues, which was really brilliant. And
what was that?
Oh God, I can't remember what it's even called. Voices. The series of monologues, and then also went to the States to do a movie, one of the Hollywood 10 with Jeff Goldblum. Wow. And that was an interesting thing. But for me, it was all so slow. After being in advertising, it was so slow. Even though I love writing and love working with a team and everything, it was just so slow. And I really did want to get back into advertising. And I was always in touch with the one headhunter at the time, who was Nita Dixon. And she called me and she goes, do you know what? Dave Droger's just gone to Saatchi and stuff's happening there. And I think you'd fit in there. Gary Sharpen and stuff. I think you'll fit in. So okay. So I went and met them, and I left and went to Saatchi.
Were you straight back into the speed of things in advertising?
Yeah,
obviously the pace that we work at.
Oh my God, I was at home.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd had to stint in Paris before then, but I forgot about that. Before the BBC was in Paris.
But then, at that time, at Saatchi's, there weren't that many women in advertising.
Nah.
You were down the hall from Alex Taylor, maybe?
No, I was at the same time as Alex. No, actually, it was completely different. Saatchi, and I talk about it to John Pallant to this day, was a completely weird ball game at that time. It was unique. It was before its time because there were several people of colour, several people of different genders,
Yeah.
several people of all ages, and loads of women. Like Saatchi at that period in time was amazing, and you could just be you.
And was it a company culture thing at that time?
Yeah,
or was it,
nothing's
so it was
impossible.
embedded. They just,
Well,
this is who we are. And
to be honest, the Saatchi brothers had just left.
right.
So they were the worst they'd ever been, from being the top agency to the worst agency. So they brought Droga over from Australia.
Yeah.
And basically he says, okay, we're the worst agency, but within a year, we're going to be like campaign or can agency of the year. And everyone went,
Yeah.
and he says, no, we are. And we went, okay. And we did it.
Yeah.
We all worked together, and you know what? And that's what really taught me everything. Nothing is impossible to me. It's not just a phrase, it's a way of life. Nothing is impossible. You can bloody do it. If you all work together, you're a team, you accept each other. It was before its time. It really was. So, which is why I can't believe the industry is like how it is now.
Do you think that diversity in the agency was a big factor in that year of taking it from the bottom of the league
Absolutely.
to the champions?
It didn't matter who you were accepted. Like I would wear well, you can imagine, ball gowns and feather boas and, God, gold lame dresses to work. And no one would look twice. It's like, hi, Joe. It was just like, it was the best experience. And if you can be yourself as a true person and human being, I didn't even think of my colour. At that time when I first entered the agency world, that's before Saatchi even, it was the lack of women was the issue. And women felt they had to become ladettes. Do you remember the whole ladettes era? They had to drink beer and play pool to fit in the whole Dave Trott thing. And so everyone all the women kind of turned into men to fit in. And I'm like, stuff that for a bloody lark. This is the first time I felt I could wear feather boas. I'm not going to turn into a man.
But I remember, I think we nearly crossed over, or you were on different floors. When we went to see Droga, it was...
You were there after me.
Just after. And I remember his whole attitude was he didn't care where the idea came from. He didn't care how late it was. He would change it. He would go and present stuff and rip stuff up. And I wasn't just him.
Yeah.
But, you know, hearing from Alex Taylor, who's been on, hearing about you today.
Yeah.
What I love about it is Nothing is Impossible wasn't just the work. It was the culture.
Oh, it really was.
And it felt they walk the walk, talk the talk. You know, they did it, which was unusual.
It was brilliant. It was like, do it. Like, basically, you could do whatever you wanted. Like, digital was all happening downstairs.
Yeah.
It was on the ground floor, completely separate, downstairs. And I'm like, well, why can't we were doing stuff for Honda, I remember. And I said, well, can't we kind of come up and all just kind of work together a bit? You know, their team and our teams. And I said, can I be a person who goes between up here and down there? And Droga was like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, Droga, can I kind of like run the kind of intern scheme and get more kind of cool middle class, like working class kids, girls in here? Okay. His philosophy was do whatever you like. If you fail, you fuck up, you might get fired. But do whatever you like. Be yourself. And that's what I've taught my creatives all along.
Yeah.
And that is the most freeing experience. But you know you've got to deliver. And those boundaries are wonderful. You know, those boundaries are wonderful.
You know, I was talking to my older two kids about this the other day. They're obviously they're doing the arts at school. They're 8 and 7. We have to draw like this. I said, no, you don't. No, don't let them tell you how to draw. No. You draw how you want to draw. And it's interesting because that's what I think they've started to become even more creative because when they're being creative at home, they don't have the boundaries of the medium. They can, you want to use some charcoal? Here you go. If you are able to be creative, and if you're given creative freedom, you will do your best work. And if that happens at an agency, when you're 22 years old, straight out of university, then fantastic. If you start to contain people, say no, you can't be who you want to be. You can't do it like this. You can't do it like that. The work will be. You
shouldn't have to fit into an agency, which is what people have done all these years. You should. Work with an agency and be able to stand out, be yourself, because it's your difference that brings that different culture, Yeah.
I think what was good about Droga is I remember 2 very quick stories I've just remembered, but he really would live his sort of belief system. So I remember on NSPCC, I think it was Ajab and Dave or someone had written an NSPCC commercial and it was gone all the way through to, I think it was nearly in pre-prod. And then he went into Howard and Duncan's office and seen this little squiggle on the side of the pad. And he said, what's that, mate? And they said, oh, that's a cartoon of a child being abused by a human. And he went, that's it. And he went and poor other team, he said, stop working everything now, we're going to do that. So he stopped that process, and then NSPCC made Cartoon, the child one, which Frank Brudgeon, won every award going, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And when you hear that, you think, right, Droga will do anything for us. So to get something made. And I remember the other one was, hopefully this doesn't blow his cover, but for Cannes, if you were too late, I remember he sent an empty Matic box with the work was still being done. So they'd ring up again, oh, it's empty, can you send another one? Which bought
him a bit of time.
4 or 5 days to get a post done.
You can't do that anymore, guys, because it's all digital.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just things like that.
You just uploaded a blank PDF. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've got a minute to get another one. But it's things like that I remember hearing about, going, fucking hell, that guy.
He was an amazing leader at that period in time. And all the teams knew it, and we would work our asses off for him.
Yeah.
If we were in on a weekend, which we were, this wasn't charity. There was no charity. If we were there at the weekend, he was there at the weekend.
Yeah.
It was an amazing, unique period of not even time, but agency world.
I think it's quite interesting to hear you say that kind of that shaped kind of the rest of your career in advertising as well, and that experience, and how important the diversity was in the agency. And if we can, I'd like to keep us on the diversity subject, because obviously you've been away quite a bit, and you've traveled now, and you'll come back to the industry, and you're teaching and talking about the industry. How do you think the rest of the industry has reacted to that time at Saatchi was hugely successful for the agency, and diversity was a huge part of that? How do you think the rest of the creative world over the last 15 to 20 years has reacted, and has it been good enough? Is it happening?
I think a lot of it is reactionary, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, there aren't enough women. God, let's hire loads of women.
Hire women.
Quick, get women.
We don't have enough people of colour. Quick, recruitment drive. Yeah.
Black people, just go anywhere, Princeton, wherever, just get black people in. We need black people. And they don't even know the difference between Jamaican or Pakistani or Arabic. It's black.
Right.
Is that on the HR departments as well? There's like a box ticking exercises.
There was definitely a lot of, I think it's got better. I think there was a lot of box ticking, a lot of panic, reactionary, especially when work came out that was so wrong.
Yeah.
Derv whitewashing a black person to a white person with cream, and Cheerios in the States where on the boxes they had people having jobs and it was the black Cheerio that was the cleaner, and it's like little subtle things that are so hugely, completely, awfully wrong.
Yeah.
I think the industry did go into panic mode, and that's what I came back to, was this kind of panic mode, and I was shocked. Because I'd experienced so much wonderful diversity around the world. I was so shocked to come back to this, and I think now the industry did do a lot of charity hiring, a lot of charity training, which I think was so wrong, and that made me really angry. Let's just get people in literally because of the colour of their skin, and they say they want to do it. You should want to do this because you want to do this.
Yeah.
This is a real job. This is a real industry. You should have a passion for it. You should really want to do it. Not kind of, I quite fancy it. Maybe I'll give it a little try,
Yeah.
This is a hard-working industry. So I think there's been some resettling and reevaluating over the past year. And I think agencies are beginning to get it right. You see what Jim, who was at Watford, with me, my year, Jim Thornton, what he's, they're setting up a school up in Stoke, of all places. And I think people are beginning to be a bit more kind of realistic with it. But
because I was going to, excuse me, do you see people, do you know, or do you feel anyone is getting it right or righter? Is it like of the big groups? Can you do it like that? Or does it end up being like just agencies? Like if you talk to a group like WPP or Publicist versus one of their individual agencies, because I suppose it's quite localized as well. You have to, it's quite hard, I suppose, to fix things from a high level.
I don't think anyone is getting it completely right now. Any agency or any network, but I think they're doing a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
I think, that when the industry was meant to, with Creative Equals, sign the petition, the pledge that they're going to do better. that's when they all went into panic mode. That was just before lockdown, wasn't it, I think? They
Yeah.
went into panic mode after George Floyd, of course.
Yeah.
And, they all kind of signed the pledge. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do a charter. We're going to do these 10 points. This is what we believe in. We'll all go into a major panic and hire a D&I person just so we've got a D&I person in charge. So even that's a kind of a reactionary kind of panic.
Again, I say that's a box ticking exercise as well, because if your peers at other agencies are doing it, then you have to do it. But if sometimes it feels like this thing is just something they put on the footer of their emails and on their websites. It's not. They're not doing enough. No one's doing enough.
And on LinkedIn, during Black History Month, they post all their photos with the 10 interns they've picked of colour and stuff, which is why I'm saying it's kind of a bit charity. But it's better than what it was before.
Sure.
But it's going in the right direction. But no, it does need a major relook to be more authentic and more real. And it doesn't start with just going to the same old colleges in London. Everyone goes to. You have to get out of London. You have to understand London is not the centre of the universe, which I learnt when I went to America and the Middle East.
Yeah.
London is a market.
Yeah.
And guess what? In our market, we have so many cultures. And if you don't understand those cultures, which are your consumers, and they're not represented in your agency, you're not going to win. Sorry, but I agree there.
Can we talk about places not in London, not even in the UK? I just wanted to talk to you about Saudi Arabia. And I read this quote from an interview you did a while back saying, designing billboards in Saudi Arabia for a family product when you can't show women was interesting. Could we ask you about that, how that went?
We're getting onto the inclusion part of the D&I. Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know. I just remember reading this thinking that'll be an interesting billboard story.
I just think America was a learning experience in itself. But I think the Middle East was it took it to a whole other level, which was a wonderful level. I don't see it as negative from what I've learned from that experience and from the changes I see that's happening in those markets. If you look at billboards in the Middle East, start to Dubai, because that's the first place you land is Dubai. You go from the airport to, the marina, and the billboards are... Sorry, it's even hard to explain. There's two sorts of billboards, basically. There's ones outside the shopping malls, which are just your normal sizes, non-digital.
Gucci,
exactly. Glamour.
Yeah.
Have you been to Dubai?
I've never
Even
been.
on holiday?
I have, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's all Gucci and Prada and no idea. It's just high-end stuff.
It's basically feels like walking through the airport.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you go towards, the marina, which is the kind of the living area for the kind of the expats and stuff, then the billboards are so long. Like if you see my fingers, if that's say 96, it's...
Really?
And how can you put anything on a billboard that size? It's the longest billboards you've seen in your
Do they chop
life.
them up into little bits, or do they put one message across?
Yeah, there's no ideas. They chop them up into little bits.
I think the longest billboard in the world is in Dubai, actually.
Yeah,
Of course.
It's
Yeah.
a digital one as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it just
160
kind of...
meters long or something. It's crazy.
160.
It's just that when you're driving your Ferrari, you can kind of, see it. It's just...
But there's no like
No ideas.
brilliant concepty stuff. No.
No ideas. But that doesn't mean the agencies don't try. And I think that's the thing I learned when working specifically in Dubai. But, I've worked, in Iraq, in Cairo, in, as I say, Saudi. But in Dubai, it's just about kind of looking good, really.
Right.
It's about looking good, looking smart, kind of looking sexy and stuff. Mm-hmm. When you go to the other regions, then even like a classic brand like Coca-Cola, what's kind of hard is that you're given a toolkit. So you're given a toolkit from the States. So taste the whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all a bit sexual in the 70s. Drinking from the bottle and, So that's going to work in Saudi and the Middle East, is it? I don't think so. But that's that's a global stock guide.
Yeah.
So basically you talk to the markets and basically, they've got women and men holding hands and that ain't going to work.
You can't do that, yeah.
Sorry. If we show a woman and a man, they can't be holding hands. The woman has got to be completely covered. She certainly can't be drinking anything sexual from her body. If we're doing a family shot, then, there has to be certain ages at the table and this and that and that. And people don't realize the globalness of messaging on billboards and how that changes in every single region. Like
the localization. Yeah, that's
even when, in Iraq, we were advertising in Iraq, it's a war zone. You can't go, oh, taste the happiness or whatever, because I'm being bombed tomorrow. No, it just ain't going to work.
Maybe in an ironic way. It's interesting you say that, because I worked with an agency in Dubai about a year ago, Mullen, a mate of mine, Paul Banham, was out there. And I imagine then, just listening to what you say, because they do quite well at the shows, but is it even harder then for them to do well at shows? I think agencies in Dubai, I've noticed, have been, more prevalent.
No, what I'm saying, Dubai Links, which is the Cannes version of Dubai Links. Yeah. I've talked at Dubai Links, and basically Dubai Links and what the agency's doing with certain clients is amazing. It's more experiential than anything. So they may do messaging in the desert, in the sand, which acts like a billboard, but it's not a billboard.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? But the work coming out of the Middle East, Ramzi Najjar, who was my ex, creative lead at JWT, he's now at, I think, DDB, I think. Right. The work coming out of the Middle East is so clever and so relevant and so right for that market.
Because it's made for the market.
Yeah. I mean, I did do a campaign. We did a pitch campaign, and most of it was on billboards for malls. Basically, shopper malls rule in the Middle East because it's so hot. There's no stores. There aren't necessarily streets with billboards because it's too hot, you see.
Yeah.
So people stay indoors.
Yeah.
So people stay in the shopping malls, and that's where the billboards and the messaging tends to be. And it tends to be more experiential and more digital, more AI and more interactive.
Yeah.
And that's the way it kind of works.
I suppose that's that Hegarty thing. Out of restriction comes creativity. If you get to grips with the locale, then you can subvert it.
Yeah.
I remember Paul was he sent me this thing about creating two moons. So they did this brilliant projection. So for a couple of nights, they made out like there was two moons over Dubai, and it got everyone going. And it's amazing. But they had a good amount of money, but they, like you said, they can't really use billboards in the traditional sense. So but like you say, if you go to a very cool solution,
you can, and like projection on the berm. I mean, everyone, they're like the digital billboards where you project on the tallest building on the world and all projections in the sky.
We've just done one for Airbus.
Well, brilliant. I mean, that stuff.
Plug for Dan's work.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the clients and looking at the audience, we've talked about this quite recently. It's kind of not just outdoor, and you're right, it's an experience. And the idea for that experience was that it was shareable on people's timelines. So yes, it is the world's biggest billboard because it's on the side of the world's biggest building. But it maybe wasn't for the 10,000 people that could see it that night for the 3-minute show. It was for some of those people and a professional camera crew to capture it and share it on the brand social.
Digital and social is the biggest thing in the Middle East. I mean, literally, they're only just getting 5G and whatever connections now, because half of it's in the desert and you can't even get kind of online. Right. So now, as they're getting more online, that's the way they communicate, and a lot of it is undercover. A lot of it is submersive, especially with the women, and you share through bloggers and you share through that and you share events, like you said, socially. So the whole media mix is completely different.
Did you on your travels, I can't believe you did all those places and those jobs. Do you have one place you loved working, fondest memories? Obviously not London, but when you've been around.
I think I have two. I think I loved Atlanta because Atlanta. I said Atlanta.
Atlanta, really very posh.
Didn't I? Atlanta.
What's happened to the West Country?
I loved Atlanta.
I
love the ATL.
Near Florida.
I love the ATL because it taught me about diversity.
Right.
They said, Joe, you're working on Sprite, which is an African American and Hispanic brand, and you know nothing about it. They probably, the agency probably hired you because you were black, but you didn't realise it, to work on this account in Atlanta, but you know nothing about us. So guess what? Don't matter. Go down the road, Martin Luther King's doorstep. Go sit there and go and speak to people, and you learn about it. Have a courageous conversation. And I did it, and I stayed there for like 3 days. Wow. And literally, I came away thinking, you got to talk to people. You got to understand people. That's the way you're going to do the best work. And when I went to Arkansas, which is Bible Belt, KKK, whole other thing,
It seems like you've always put yourself in places that you really want to challenge yourself as well. That's the position for a woman in the Middle East, certainly in a senior position in the Middle East, it's not an easy place to be with clients. Is that a choice that you've made?
No, I mean, I always thought I was really smart and I planned my career. That's when I was in London. It's like, woohoo, yeah, I've all planned it, I've done it. And then suddenly life just takes you on journeys you don't even expect. I didn't expect to be in the American South working for Coca-Cola globally with Donald Trump's Middle America and creatives who have guns in their handbags. That wasn't in my life plan.
Your journey seems like, I don't know if you've read the Dice Man, where he rolls the dice and goes on the journey. It's like, I'll go there. Yeah, I'll go there.
Is that not the title of your book? Creative with guns in their handbags. You don't like that concept? Fuck you. Bang. That brings a whole new word to like a difficult review.
It's just like, it's learning that, about the KKK and stuff's real. And, oh God, there's a cow. My first day in Arkansas, I was at like Walmart stocking up for my apartment. Sorry, this goes away from billboards. And it's like, there's a cowboy. Cowboys are real. There's an Amish person on the horse. Amish are real. Seriously, that seems to be the thing of my life. And they say, then go into the Middle East, which I really did love. And I did see how women were strong and empowerment and how you do have to be really creative to message in media, all media in those kind of territories. Teach you about humanity and human beings, which I think London needs to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
It's not just about Joe Blogs down the street. No, we're multicultural.
There's quite a bit of navel gazing that goes on. And
one thing I did want to ask you about was education, because we were educated at the same place. Watford College, sadly, no more. But
so have we haven't really talked about why that has closed down?
No.
What do we know?
We'd probably have to get Tony on to get the full story.
Yeah,
Tony Cunningham. This is your second invite. I bumped into him on the tube, and he refused me then. He's probably going to refuse me now.
Should we just call it? Should we call him out every single episode?
Then? Come on, sir.
He's at BBH. He's doing a thing there, but I think. I
mean, it's such a shame.
Yeah, but do you think enough is being done now? Because I suppose with the demise of Watford, then you have the School of Communication Arts, which is, are you teaching there or did you teach there? Do you do stuff for those guys?
Never.
Okay.
For communication arts.
Okay.
No, UAL, right. Bournemouth, down south, in Falmouth, in up north, in Northampton.
Do you do anything with D&AD?
Oh yeah, I talk for D&AD all the time. I talk for everyone. But the bottom line is, London is still so focused here, and it all goes to the same schools. And even when it comes to diversity, they go to the same schools. They need to open their minds and realise there's life outside bloody London. Yeah. The regions, who are you talking to? Who are your consumers? There's more people you should be talking to here. And there's more people you need to be educating. I mean, I think when I got in, I don't know how you got into the industry, you guys, but when I got in, I didn't know about advertising. I found it in a school library book because they asked, my school careers teacher said I should be a librarian or work in a bank. Me, really? Are you kidding me? And I saw copywriting in a book and I pursued it myself because I was passionate and I did I got into Watford College and I didn't even pass the qualifications. This was the year before, Tony.
Yeah.
And Maureen said, I don't care, because I asked for projects over the summer holiday, knowing I probably wasn't going to pass. And I did those projects okay, I guess, for a 17-year-old, 18-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got into Watford anyway. But she didn't care. She saw the spark, she saw the enthusiasm, she saw the passion. And I think that's what people need to do now. And I just think a child at 8 forms their opinions on who they are in life and what they want to be. And we need to be not just going to universities, the normal kind of ones when kids are 18 and are about to graduate. We need to be educating kids when they're 8 to 9 and 10.
I totally agree. And this is one of the things.
They need to know all the jobs available.
Oh,
I mean, all the jobs in your agency, 99% of the kids in this world don't know about.
No, exactly. And it's the careers advice at high school. I hope it's got better since I left, but I mean, it was awful. Absolutely awful. Oh yeah, you're good at drawing, and you could be an artist. Oh, you won't make any money. Maybe you should think about making posters. And it's that bad. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier on about the kids and their art and they're being taught how to draw an apple. It really winds me up, because everything that I learned at art college is challenge everything, challenge the way it looks, and I think that it starts with our national curriculum, that the under-investment in the arts in the national curriculum is appalling. The government have got a lot to answer for. But it also goes all the way through secondary schools as well. There's some fantastic teachers at schools who are being underutilized because they're having to teach the arts in specific ways.
And teachers can't teach what they don't know. Careers teachers can't teach what they don't know exists.
No.
They don't know stuff exists. That's down to HR and talent departments. I just did
Absolutely.
I'm talking to those people as well, and it's just like, you need to get the kids early, and it has to be kind of a long-term investment in that way. And that, when I talk investment, it's just going out, keeping contacts with certain schools. You see bright sparks straight away. I saw this 8-year-old who could draw in 3D.
Yeah.
He could literally draw. Everything he drew was in 3D because he had a condition I can't remember. And he was so bright, and we ended up printing this thing and do a whole campaign with him for everything he drew.
But do you think it's, the other thing is, it's hard anyway for the advertising world to get the right people and for the right people to know that advertising is there. But now, because there's the tech companies, there's there's Apple, there's Facebook, there's Netflix, there's so many more people offering creative possible careers. It's I don't know, it feels like there's much more out there now. So people I've heard quite a lot of people saying kids are going to art school, and normally they come out and they could go to advertising, but quite a lot of them going, I might go to Apple or Facebook or,
Is that a bad thing? I was going to go to Apple before lockdown.
No, it's not a bad thing, but I think we're losing people even earlier because quite a lot.
That's down to the industry, I think. We have to lean in. The education system has to lean on industry for the industry to survive, and vice versa. The industry has to go into the local schools. Industry has to go in and say, let's work on some art programs with the kids. Let's teach them advertising. Let's teach them that they can use their creative skills for a career in future. We're not giving them jobs now. We're not giving them work. No. It's not just giving work experience in the copywriting department.
They just need to be aware and be inspired and be allowed to dream.
Public art. Let's do it. Let's work on it.
Actually recently worked with Twitter and Snap actually. Twitter with a project with Engine, and it is amazing how these platforms do work together with agencies. So I don't think it's a negative. I don't think it's either or. The world has changed now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's either or because I think we're all working together so closely anyway, agency-wise and platform-wise. Well, we should be if you're not.
Yeah.
That I don't think it is either or. No. I had some ideas for some kind of billboards I sent to Twitter, who sent to the agency, who did this, who did that. And it's just the way it works now. We all are.
When it works well, it's lovely, for people to jump into different places. And you always gain, don't you, when you've got someone who's not traditionally from advertising or vice versa. And I think that is a really good thing that's happening nowadays. Quite a few creatives I know have gone to Apple and the other way around, or people can I'm up at the BBC at the moment. I'd never even have imagined that a few years ago. Yeah. So it's kind of like, that is good, but I think the initial question is trying to get young people interested and aware. I think, because I never knew there was a job called copywriting. I barely knew you would write. I didn't know anyone wrote the adverts. And so I was like, I was in the library and I've read this thing.
You read it in the library as well?
I was in Manchester, I think, and I thought, that sounds quite good. It's a bit of writing, but not too much because I'm not that clever. And it's a bit of being a bit out there and a bit of an idiot. And going, well, I didn't say those words, but I just thought,
that was natural.
That was, and it was a perfect fit for me. And when I found it, I was like, oh my God, thank God. But I still don't know whether people still think copywriting is a trademark thing.
No, I don't know. It's changed. It's I remember when we were at Watford, you would every month, you knew the posters, the billboards changed out every month, beginning of every month. So every month you'd be looking for the new Silk Cut or the new Economist or the new that. And they literally would come out to public demand onto, commercials and billboard, and you'd be looking for the next one. It was just it was so exciting and so crafted and so clever. But now it's so not, content and it's all changed. And that's not a bad thing.
No. So while we're there, it's like you're reading our mind here. What is your favourite billboard of all time? Or billboards?
So I don't have one. It's what I just said. I go for no, there's lots of new ones I like using digital technology.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be a new one.
And AI. But for me, and I want to do them, and they're the future. So to be honest, my favourite billboards are the ones that haven't been created yet, because that is the wonder of this industry. I think I could do something tomorrow that no one else has done. And And that's in a new way because of technology. So that really excites me and gives me a feeling in my belly. So the most exciting billboard I've ever seen is the one I haven't created yet.
Yes.
But if I go classic, which I will, it is those old ones like Silk Curtain, Heineken, where every month you would literally wait because the crafting of the headlines and the visuals and how it would work. It's just like, I miss that in billboards. Yeah. I do miss that.
Just while you're talking about that technology, it just made me think is that something that we've said before, using technology as an enabler. And that's what we're talking about. The best idea, it will enable your idea. You've got the best idea. Technology these days will help that become a reality. And whether that's using augmented reality or smart use of data, the technology will be invisible behind that billboard.
It's so incredible. You know, it could be so personalized, so to your region, to your name, to your house, to what you've bought. And taking that, and what I've seen what they're doing around the world with this. It's just, it blows my mind. And to me, that is bloody exciting. So this next generation coming up, this next generation working, the generation beta and alpha who are coming their way, what they'll be doing, we can't even begin to imagine. It'll just be...
That's great.
Who knows, you know? And to me, that excites me more. I love looking back and I love the past, and I do miss the crafting of the past. And we're in a weird kind of in-between period, I think, aren't we?
I think so.
We're kind of holding on to that a bit, but we're kind of moving more towards that. Sorry, you can't see me. I got my two hands going in different directions. But for me, what gives me the feeling in the belly now is the stuff that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
because I
think that's
stuff you'll be doing.
Well,
pointing
and me, I hope.
I think
and you, I hope.
Maybe him. He's a quarter of our age.
And you.
I think the thing is, it's that kind of all the gear, no idea. Quite often you see tech stuff and you're going, what? It's just confusing. Whereas if you see it used in a brilliant way, that's when your brain goes, I understand how cool this shit can be. And I think that's all you're after.
But it's only going to happen, and just to wrap it up, and a few of the themes that we've talked about is if that next generation of creative talent is nurtured in the right way and is plucked from the obscurity, and they are aware of the careers that they can have in our industry, and we all have a responsibility to go and find that talent and help nurture it. It's not, I will leave it to the HR department. It's not enough.
Not at all.
The ECDs need to get out there, and we need to get out there, and we need to go, and everyone should pick a school, whether it's their local school or one from a neighbouring borough, but go pick a school and reach out to the art department and say, I'd love to give a chat to your kids. You may inspire 1 in 100, but that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. I think we've got a next,
at
least a local politician. Jo, thanks so much for coming in.
So much
it's
for
been a
having
blast.
me.
Yeah, honestly, we'll chat more and more. But it's been great to see you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
so
for coming, Jo.
Thanks, guys.
I can't believe she walked that far to get to a bloody billboard. How far out does she live in?
Well,
Cheeks, was it Cheeks?
she just in Cheltenham.
With the dog.
And she just said she's going to spend the next 5 days getting home. Like, wow, Jesus.
I mean, we're saying the billboard at the end of your street, but it's like, just lie or make it up.
Grab one off the internet. Please don't walk 7 miles.
Anyway, Jo, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jo.
Was a legend. Didn't disappoint. I'm hoping you're all right. You did get home.
She's waiting outside the door so we can take her for a drink now, right?
But that was long overdue, and hopefully you'll come back on and tell us more stories. I imagine she's going to be doing a very big job very soon.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the social thing?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Is that it?
All we need to do. Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
You know where we are. Just like and subscribe.
Okay. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.